Now, you mentioned very briefly the Salem witch trials, and this is going a bit beyond the scope of your book. But I'm
Sure.
just curious, how would you look at a phenomenon like that?
Yeah, and it certainly is going beyond the scope of the book. There, I made it in reference to the fact to that opening story with the murder, and how if you go back to colonial Salem, if someone is possessed by the devil, that's a reason to be like, oh, they're guilty. And but in the 1980s, when this murder occurred, the assumption then was, if someone is possessed by the devil, oh, they're innocent. Isn't that interesting? What changed there? What notions of what it means to be a human being and to do something change? Um, my understanding of something like the Salem witch trials is that we are as much dealing with the culture that described them as we are trying to understand the actual phenomenon that was happening with these people that were on trial. And that's in part how I tried to engage with the literature, with the biblical literature. I'm not trying to psychoanalyze King Saul or the author of Psalm 51, and try to access their private religious experience. Rather, I'm recognizing that we are dealing with the literary presentation of of a religious experience, and so that's really all that we can access.
Does the Salem experience, though, not to dwell on this too much, I'm sorry,
Sure.
but does the Salem experience add a kind of warning, though, about the difficulty of discerning between, to put it simply, truth and fiction, not only in the literary representations, but also in the contemporary experience of things that are reported to be spirit phenomena? I mean, just in the Salem experience, for example, so many people were accused, and it's generally the opinion of historians and pretty much all readers today that most of these were fabricated
Mm-hmm.
accusations, if not all. So, how do you look at that kind of an issue?
Yeah, it is a good warning. It is an important warning. I think it's also important to view it as perhaps a cultural phenomenon, um, and to ask ourselves, what were the cultural circumstances that led to this being able to happen here at that time, but maybe not in other cultures, where if someone is a witch, they're like, great, now our village has a witch. We've got someone who can take care of X or Y problems. What was it about colonial Salem and the Western culture, the previous witch trials in Europe, that led to this particular figure, the construction of that particular figure, the witch, uh, to be perceived as a threat, as someone who needed to be exterminated or rooted out. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good reminder. When you talk about the Gospels, for example, there are many cases of spirit possession that, or let me rephrase that, spirit phenomena,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes perhaps phrased as possession, sometimes as something else, that are often linked to disease of some kind or possibly mental illness. How do you sort of move forward in time from the Hebrew Bible through Second Temple period literature to the Gospels?
Yeah. So I see the Gospels as reflecting a particular, we might say, stream out of which the rich spirit-filled world of Second Temple Judaism, if you will, one of the many streams that might have come out of it. Um, the Gospels in particular are really arresting because of these scenes of demonic possession where someone is out of their mind, and and also I would say, one of the unique things about spirit possession in the Gospels is how effective Jesus is portraying and exercising these spirits. Whereas in a lot of literature, a spirit problem is often portrayed as a kind of persistent, we might almost say a chronic disease that is more managed than cured. Jesus is always is always just kind of wrapping it up quickly. And so I see it as one reflex of it, perhaps things that we can see hints of in various literatures from the Second Temple period. But even then, that notion of a spirit taking complete control and a person's personality completely absconding is not something I think we find very good evidence for in the Hebrew Bible, or even in a lot of early Jewish literature. There are maybe a few places where you could maybe see it, but often in the Hebrew Bible, a person, even when someone is, we'll say, possessed by the Ruach Adonai, they are still there, so to speak. Their personality is still there. And perhaps possession is too limiting. It's more of a spirit collaboration or something like that. And so I see the New Testament as a very distinct particular direction.
What Bible do you read? And how do you know it's the right one?
There's only one version of the Bible, right?
It might surprise you to learn that Bible translations led to many versions of Holy Scripture. Long ago, translators interpreted the Hebrew Bible, ensuring it would be enjoyed in many languages. But when they encountered Hebrew words they didn't understand, translators relied on their individual cultural context and used different words with different meanings unrelated to the original ones. This led to Bible versions that lacked the full, beautiful, original explanations becoming part of our history. That's why when you join our online classes, you'll get back to the source of the original Hebrew Bible to uncover hidden meanings.
Get back to the source. Join our online course today, where the treasures of the authentic Bible await you.
Click on the link and register to start your biblical experience.